Welcome to The Inevitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The Inevitable. This is the MotorTrend podcast, the MotorTrend vodcast, where we talk about the future of the automobile, the future of mobility, where are we going, how are we going to get there, and what sort of events are we going to attend to maybe help us make that decision. I'm Jonny Lieberman. This is Ed Lowe. Before we get started, Ed has a message for you.
Hello there. The Inevitable Vodcast is brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya, inspired by the future, designed for the now. And right now, we have a great question of the episode. Hold on to your butts. It's a long one. Okay, it's from a gentleman by the name of Sam Schulte. Hope I pronounced that name right.
That's how you pronounce Schulte, yes.
He says, question for the Inevitable. What are your thoughts on a Tesla for a salesman with a large territory? I'm based out of Michigan and drive approximately 40,000 miles per year. Oh, boy. A lot of my trips are within 200 miles round trip, but a good portion of my miles are very long distance. Today, I'll hop into my Camry and do 6 to 10 hours at a time, 4 to 6 times a month. I also occasionally find myself in rural areas where I'm concerned about the charging station availability. I've played with the Tesla trip planner, and it seems feasible. I've been bugging my employer for years to put me in a Tesla, and now it might actually happen. I'm getting cold feet. Keep in mind, they currently provide a base model Camry, so a Model S or X is likely out of the picture. So please help me understand the Model 3 standard versus long-range battery types in this application. The Tesla trip planner leads me to believe the total trip time between the two would be very similar, but the long range makes fewer stops but longer stops. Because you're going to charge the battery. Okay.
So the reason I was on my
super long.
The reason I was on my phone was not normal. It's not my normal habit of ignoring Ed when he speaks, but it was 40,000 miles a year divided by 52 weeks is 770 miles a week, and then if you divide that by like 5 working days, it's 153 miles a day. Okay. So.
You go first, because I did some research.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it, sir, Mr. Schulte. It could be done. I'd say it'll be 90% the same, and there'll be 10% of the time when it's painful, when you have to go somewhere where maybe the charging station's down or something like that. But Tesla does a pretty good job of putting chargers everywhere. And you know, if you're doing 150 miles a day, you can do that on one charge if you're charging at home. So it's possible. It will not be as easy as a gas vehicle, but I would say 90% of the time it will be.
Okay. So that's Johnny's take. He's a Rivian owner. He does a fair amount of road tripping. I don't think he puts on 40,000 miles a year.
Well, I do, but not in my car.
I don't do anything of the sort. I have a very short commute. I drive an F-150 Lightning. Like, I'm the worst in terms of, I just drive it home and back into my kids' daycare.
You could just leave it at you're the worst. You don't have to.
I asked 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 different experts to weigh in. 1, Eric Tingwall, MotorTrend's testing director, lives in Michigan, close to Ann Arbor.
And grunts a lot.
Grunts a lot. Experienced testing all of our vehicles. He essentially says, I don't think it's a good idea. He's like, I don't know enough about this question, even though it's about how long it is. But if he's driving that kind of distance and it's rural, he's likely going north, where chargers are fewer and farther between. Michigan's infrastructure for Tesla superchargers is pretty good, but mostly in the urban areas and in the suburbs. So, you know, further south around Detroit, not so bad. But going up north, you're going to have a problem. Eric also said 6 to 10 hours could become 6 to 12 hours if you include charge time and detouring out of the way to find a charger. So if that sounds like something you don't want to do, consider that. So ultimately, he says, I don't think there really is an upside unless he posits you might be interested in driving one of these Model 3s for full self-driving, which would take away a lot of the long highway boring miles. But it's also a premium that your employer would have to pay for. So I don't know.
Well, actually, I mean, how much is a Model 3 these days? I mean, they've really gotten cheap.
True. Yeah. Buy used and then then do the over-the-air upgrade for.
But you're also doing the right thing. Okay,
right.
That's answer 1. Oh, so didn't you mention cold?
No. That's my other buddy. Okay, so then I talked to my other buddy, Rob, personal friend of mine, grew up, my childhood friend, who lives in Ohio, has been there for many years, and he was like one of the first guys in Ohio to own not 1, but 2 Tesla Model S's. And he's also like, yeah, I don't know. You'd be okay. This is my buddy Rob speaking. You'd be okay with the long-range Model 3 at 341 miles of range. Rear-wheel drive standard range, not a good idea at 272. His concern, the winter. Range is lower, and you're using the heater, the seat warmers, etc. You'd also probably want all-wheel drive because it's safer for slippery
shortens
surfaces.
your
And that's
range.
also going to eat into your range. Tesla's great, but there is a bit of a headache finding a supercharger. In out of the way rural places, you'd have to divert, making a longer trip than necessary. It could be frustrating. He has some actionable advice. The best was find a Tesla owners group in your area and look for insights there. He says the one in Ohio is great and is very helpful. So that's a great answer. And the last guy, and probably the best guy, most qualified to answer this, an actual Model 3 owner who's done a ton of road tripping.
He's a little more than that, but go ahead.
Kyle Connor, we had him as a guest for a special double episode.
Mr. Out of Spec.
Mr. Out of Spec. Kyle was nice enough to read your text, read your DM, and reply. And he said, with a CCS adapter and Tesla, you can pretty much get anywhere. You just have to keep an eye on the PlugShare app to see where the chargers are.
Yeah.
But he says, I'd say it's no problem, but if he's worried, buy the car that makes you the most comfortable.
And I would say, if you can get your employer to swing it, get one of them Lucid Grand Touring suckers.
Yeah.
516 miles of range. Who cares?
Yeah, get the $100,000 EV.
Don't charge. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a lot more than that for a Grand Touring. Yes. But no charging. You never have to charge. Once a week you'd have to. If you're doing 770 miles a week and it goes 516 miles, golden, man. You're good to go. So I think we solved that one.
Bottom line, Sam Schulte, thank you so much for your question. I think there's an answer in there somewhere. Bottom line is, yeah, you could do it. It just might add some time to your day, and then you got to worry about the winter a little bit. So thank you so much. Swag is on the way.
Nice.
And if you have a question, please shoot us a DM,
We'll
put us in
send
the
you
comments.
Hats that look like this.
Leave it in a review, give us 5 stars, and ask a question. But send us your questions, and we'll answer them on air. But let's talk about
This week's guest.
This week's guest, which is another real-world situation. Say you are an EV skeptic and you want to maybe consider buying an EV. Where would you go?
Or you can't trust those hacks at MotorTrend. They don't know what they're talking about. You got to decide for yourself.
You want to see for yourself.
Yeah.
What's up with these gosh darn EVs that they keep
drive 'em
ramming
all.
down my throats?
Yeah.
Where could you go?
Possibly go.
Yes, you can go to an event called Electrify Expo, which we'll tell you all about, because we have the founder and CEO, BJ Birtwell, coming on in just a moment. BJ's a longtime friend of mine. I've known him for about 24 years or so. We both got started in the aftermarket. He was leading the charge in youth marketing for the car care company Meguiar's. And he went on to do a bunch of other things, youth marketing for Mopar, supporting drifting and drag racing. He worked at Dub Magazine.
SEMA.
He worked at SEMA. He was a board member at SEMA. Done a bunch of stuff. He ran the Torque off-road racing series before selling it. Super successful guy. Very sharp marketer. Very sharp businessman and entrepreneur. And now he's actually kind of an EV convert who's running the first, I think, and largest consumer-facing electric vehicle expo, and we're going to talk to him next. BJ, thank you for coming in.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much.
Head low in the flesh.
No. And congrats on Electrify
Say my name
Expo.
out loud again.
Congrats on Electrify Expo, which is this amazing consumer-facing electric vehicle show that you've been now running for how many years?
Well, really, if you look at it, our first show was less than 3 years ago, which is crazy to imagine because we're just such a young company, but come so far in less than 3 years.
And that was the first one. Was it in Austin?
No, the first one was in Orange County in a grass field in September of 2021.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, coming out of COVID,
I was
really.
going to say, great timing.
Oh, it was perfect.
And it was one. How many shows the first year?
3.
3.
Yeah, we did 3. We did Orange County, and then we did Miami and Austin.
Okay. Did I go to Austin? Is that where I
Probably.
spoke? I think I did the
That was
closing.
the very first one.
Okay, yeah. I did the closing remarks in Austin, which was wild. It was big. It was at Circuit of the Americas in the parking lot.
Well, it was big, but it was in the bar. I mean, the industry day was in a bar. That's where
Hey,
it was in Kodak.
I mean,
it probably sat 50 people. You know,
No, I mean,
quite
if we were
appropriate.
It was
and-
you're modest. It was very professionally done. It was very well executed. And just the fact that you had an industry day in year one, I think, speaks volumes about your planning around all of this. But for those who don't know, it's electrifyexpo.com, right? Yep.
Electrifyexpo.com, yeah.
Electrifyexpo.com. And now this year the show is how many cities?
Well, we're an 8-stop festival. We're 1 million
Okay.
square feet everywhere we go. Kind of gives you an idea of scope and scale of the size of the event and where it's come from. Pretty much every leading manufacturer is now at Electrify Expo. Doesn't matter if it's on 4 wheels or 2 wheels or on water.
Right.
So it's been a kind of a surreal thing as a car guy coming and looking at this festival, because I don't come from like Pacific Northwest and was an environmentalist, and I'm not an early tech adopter.
Right.
I'm a car guy.
Yep. We're gonna talk about that. How
But
wild?
could
how
you
wild
describe, like, okay, so I show up, I hear about it, I get a ticket, I go. What am I seeing in 1 million square feet? 'Cause that sounds pretty daunting.
It's fun. It's almost, if you can imagine a South by meeting a CES, it's kind of like that, except everything is outdoors and it's a festival environment. So one of the reasons why we do this all outside is because we do try to create a festival vibe, and you can't create that inside the box walls of a convention center. It's just too stuffy and too stale. So you come into Electrify Expo and you hear the music. There's experiences everywhere. So you walk into 1 million square feet and there's just activity all over. So it doesn't matter if it's cars or it's bikes or scooters or skateboards or high-speed bikes or motorcycles, or it's on dirt or pavement. I mean, there's everything for you to experience, and that's the whole point. Is that I was an EV skeptic, and it wasn't until I actually got behind the wheel of an EV where I had my light bulb moment, and that's what I wanted to do with Electrify Expo, is just give everybody their light bulb moment through experiences.
And the point is, I mean, it's actually funny. You could do this theoretically inside because EVs don't emit anything, but the point of getting, I'm sure it's a lot cheaper to do it outside and also more welcoming. When you go to Electrify Expo, there's EVs, there's ride and drives like everywhere, all these manufacturers. And tip of the cap to you, the biggest one, I think the biggest news that I heard was you guys landed. I mean, Tesla's doing ride and drives at your event, right? Is that correct?
We were the first tour that Tesla signed on to.
Yeah.
I mean, Tesla's known to
not
do,
advertise.
Yeah, I mean,
not
they
do
use
ride and drives, not do anything.
Yeah, they have their fan base, who's a great marketing mechanism for them. But obviously, the industry's become much more competitive than 5 years ago. So they came in, they signed on for the entire tour last year. They're back this year for the entire tour. So they're loving what they see.
Who are you signing with? I mean, they don't even have people that can do. I mean,
I know it's not like it's not the VP of marketing we're doing a deal with.
There
right?
is no VP of marketing.
There isn't. There isn't.
Who do you?
No.
Like an engineer?
Are they still there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Were they fired? But
yeah, those people are still there.
Okay.
In fact, they told me in Orlando, which is our first show we had this year, that they sell more cars at our event per day than they would do at any other auto show that they would ever do. So they've really kind of hunkered down on Electrify Expo and making it a key point of their butts and seat strategy.
Mm-hmm.
What was a tipping point, do you think, for them? Like prior to them signing 2 years ago, who had you had Lucid already, right? Or Rivian?
Yeah, I mean, we had BMW and Toyota and Lexus and Volvo and Kia and Hyundai and other manufacturers. They were kind of the giant that everybody was asking for and wondering, scratching their heads, why isn't Tesla here? And the average consumer doesn't put that together. Hey, they don't have a marketing
no,
budget.
of course not. Yeah, of course not.
So, but everybody else does. The industry does, and so it wasn't until like kind of Tesla came on board where then some of the other auto manufacturers and some of the other brands that we had been ghosted by started to kind of call us back.
Oh, interesting. So you had the big dogs first, and
Some of
then
them.
the big
Okay.
I mean, big dogs. I mean the big traditional legacy gas.
Some.
Ford,
Some of them. Yeah.
mhm.
So
So who ghosted you and came back? Just kidding. You don't have to answer that.
you
But
can.
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, well,
But
that strategy has worked for me and for other companies that I've worked at, where it's like you land somebody big, and the reciprocating effect of that is others follow.
But it also just goes to show that Tesla is still the 900-pound gorilla in the EV space. Like, there's just no one. They're just almost synonymous. Like EV stocks, their price. If Tesla has a bad day, despite what the other companies are doing, Lucid and Rivian crash along with Tesla and rise with Tesla. So,
Did you go and show them, like, look at all the, like, here's some consumer or show feedback. They all want you to come. Or how did you invite a rep to the show and say, hey, look at all these people? Or
Oh man, sales is so much about grit, isn't it? I mean, just like straight up grit. So we went to Tesla for 2.5 years. So going back to Electrify Expo and the origin of it, I created the brand in 2019, but we didn't launch our first event until 2021. We just spent the entire first year and a half just kind of developing our brand and our identity and our go-to-market and tightening up our IP and all that, right? And then we finally got to 2021. We had our first event. And trust me, before we launched our first event, we were cold calling, cold emailing Tesla. So, I mean, if you look through our CRM, there's probably 100 people from Tesla that we've done outreach to, and nobody ever responded to us. Nobody, not once, not one.
Yeah,
email.
that sounds like when we deal with them. Yeah.
Not one email. And it wasn't.
Solid OPSEC for Tesla. So the mandate is don't answer inbound emails. Mission accomplished. Okay.
Well, it's either that or maybe our emails were falling on into departments that weren't able to answer us, and or they didn't know who to go to for the answers. So the weird kind of turn to this is that it happened very organically. It wasn't about this outreach and LinkedIn. There was a guy who worked at Tesla on LinkedIn who loved what he was seeing, and he organically reached out to me on LinkedIn. And then he was the champion inside the company to route this all the way up to the top to get approval.
So we have some real breaking news. I mean, LinkedIn's good for something.
Oh, come on. Yeah, that's actually. Okay.
Sorry, I had to go there.
So 2021, first year of the show, three stops on the tour. What were some of the aha, like maybe you thought it was going to go this way, but nope, big surprise, this happened. Anything from a consumer response? Like, were you expecting, I don't know, what were you expecting when people showed up? Like,
well, things are a lot different today than they were in 2021. Just the consumer is different. But, the consumers that were pouring into the expo in 21 were EV advocates.
Okay.
Today, they're not.
Oh, interesting.
No, they're not EV advocates. They're EV skeptics, and they're people who are e-curious. So
I like that.
Wait.
Hey, this is a family-friendly show.
Why would skeptics show up at all?
Because I think
they just want to experience how bad it is.
How bad what is?
I just always go back. I was talking to someone about this other day. Like when we back in 2011 named the Chevy Volt our car of the year. Certain portion of the media was very against us. In fact, Rush Limbaugh condemned us on his radio show, and our phones were like ringing off the hook with people calling and threatening us. And then I remember watching Neil Cavuto on Fox News was interviewing a Volt owner, and the Volt owner was like, "Yeah, it goes 40 miles electric, and then the gas engine kicks on, and it drives like a normal car." And Cavuto was like, he wasn't prepared. He was just like, "Yeah, but can you fit in it?" And the guy's like, "Yes, I fit in it." It was like, so I'm just wondering what skeptics are like. What are they like? Why are they showing up?
Well, I think we got to address what's happening really in the industry and also in politics. And
let's do it.
Okay.
We're here for it. Yeah,
so early stages. Gosh, it's not even early stages. But for somebody like me who's kind of new to the EV industry, the early stages for me in 20, 21, the people who were interested in coming to an Electrify Expo were people who already had a bent to be interested in Electrify Expo or into electric vehicles.
Sure. So it's like a Comic-Con, like
exactly, like EV advocates.
Go party with other like-minded individuals.
For sure. Yeah. And we saw that in 21. And then as we got into 2022, we saw that plus kind of people who were early tech adopters and that type of crowd. And then in 23, things started to change because those consumers had pretty much already made up their mind to go electric at some point, whether it's fully electric or plug-in hybrid. And we started to see this more general mainstream American come in and say, what's this whole electric thing about? It seems like this is the direction the industry is going, whether I like it or not. So I want to come check it out and see what it's all about and whether or not it's a fit for me. Because fully electric vehicles may not be a fit for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Plug-ins might be a better fit for people. And in some cases, the consumers may not be ready at all for electric vehicles. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? So, and we can talk about those different scenarios because they're real and they exist. As we've gone through 23 and now into 24, you're just seeing a lot more of general mainstream Americans coming to check out this whole electric thing. And there's really no better place to do it, I think, in my mind, because we're providing the experiences that people actually need to really get it. Like, auto shows are starting to try to do some of this stuff,
Right.
but the problem is that they're not real world experiences. When you're maneuvering through concrete pillars in the basement of a convention center, it's
I
not a
think
great
social
experience.
media has sort of replaced the experience of going to an auto show. You can just sit and look at your phone and see every car that's at the auto show, but
Well,
you don't get to experience it.
BJ's also talking about like the basement of the Javits Center in New York, where they're again EVs don't emit anything, so you can run them.
Yeah, but
downstairs.
you're going like 2 miles an hour.
Exactly.
With 100 rules.
That's kind of what.
Or you're going really fast in a very, very short distance.
Right.
And it's just not a good
that doesn't
experience.
teach you anything.
Well, it's actually the opposite. So what's happening is people are coming out of those experiences and having a junky experience, and then going back to their social circles and their families and saying, "Hey, I tried the electric thing; it wasn't for me."
Right.
And that's because the experience sucked.
Right.
So how does it manifest? Like, how do you tell that your audience has shifted from like the early advocate to like the skeptic? What does it show up? What does it show up to you?
Yeah, where's
the
the data
founder,
point?
the guy who's running it? Is it in like the feedback from the show, or you guys do surveys, or you just talk to people and they're like, "Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the cars, but it's not for me," or like what? So what does that look like if you're saying that these guys are skeptics?
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of the man on the street and in the trenches, like the human version of Consumer Reports when it comes to electric vehicles, because I talk to hundreds and thousands of consumers every year about EVs, right? So I hear the questions that they're asking, and so the questions that they're asking back in 21 are very, very different than the questions they're asking in 24.
Give us an example. What's a 21 question versus a 24?
A 21 question would be, how many kilowatts per hour is this vehicle? And then the question today is, does this vehicle go longer on electric than 40 miles?
Right.
Because they're still operating off of information that's 4 years ago.
Sure.
So the people who came in 21, they knew how to talk shop. And then in 24, it's like these are brand new people who are new to the
So they just
total
and we've seen that. I mean, I remember again just going back in time when we used to talk to Tesla all the time, their engineers especially, and we're talking about the behavior of early Model S adopters, right? So like they'd get the cars and they'd drive from a charger to a charger as if it wasn't plugged in at all times, the car would evaporate. And then that's the first week. And then the second week, they would charge it every single night, 100% every single night. And they'd only use like 9% or whatever. And then by the third week, they plug it in when it needed to be charged. But it's this learning curve that you kind of have to experience to know, right? It's just, everyone kind of intuitively knows how gas vehicles work because you've been living with them your entire life, but this is brand new. So
yeah, that nails it. And because it's a new technology, you need to experience it in order to get it. You can't watch a TV ad or read a print ad or read a social media post to really understand it. If you own an electric car, you know that because your behavior, how you drive does have to change, and the way you think about fueling up has to change. But the mechanism,
you don't think about it; you do it at home. No, just kidding.
Well, for some people, for some people,
I know.
Yeah, no, but it's one of these wonky conversations because if you just think about it, in my mind, the vehicle is the same. The fuel type has changed.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
No, look, I think I have like PTSD from. I have an endless conversation with just people about how EVs won't work for them. And I had one the other day with the guy who goes, "I only have access to electricity 5 days a week." And I said, "Well, that's probably not for you, sir." Like it's just okay.
So are there 8-city tour this year? You've done Orlando. At this time we're recording, you've done Orlando, Phoenix, Long Beach is why you're in town.
Yeah, this is about to be our biggest event on record.
You're here for Long Beach. Then you go to Denver, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, and Austin. That's 8 cities this year. Is that the most?
Yeah, that's the most we've done.
Okay. Any city that have you dropped any city? Did you do something last year you're not going back to, or is it always the same?
We dropped DC.
Okay.
But it's not so much of a drop as we just rotate in new markets.
Okay.
So that's what we'll do next year. We'll drop a couple markets and rotate some new ones in.
Is there a city or regional difference in the audience? Like, is California, we've been doing EVs a lot longer than most. Are we like better, more educated, or dumber? Like, you've been in Austin now all three years, right? And that's a fairly hip, tech savvy audience, right? Or any big like, boy, those guys in New York, they got no idea what's going on. Like, is it anything like that, or?
No, I mean, I would feel like we fill our shows full of enough people, or I don't really know if I feel that reaction. I mean,
Okay.
obviously our California shows are bigger shows, and it's a more mature market. California has adopted EVs at a more rapid rate than other places. So no, I don't see it.
Okay. And then it's not just cars. You got the e-bikes. You got the scooters. You
Motorcycles.
said motorcycles. You said
skateboards,
you said
water,
boat. You got
watercraft. We
watercraft?
have electric boats, electric personal watercraft.
you got RVs too, right?
We have RVs and trailers. Yeah,
RVs are super hot on motor. Like anything RV is actually really hot on MotorTrend for some reason. So
side by sides.
let
Yep.
us know.
Mhm.
Okay.
Leaf blowers.
Yep, they're there. I'm
Do
sure.
you? Are you doing like
Yeah, that's a
like
whole part of
lawnmowers?
our festival. It's been growing a lot.
If I wasn't so lazy, I would be working to ban
Oh, no.
on Saturday gasoline powered leaf blowers in favor of electric ones. Because
You want the autonomous electric lawnmower? That's what you want.
I don't know about that. Just the noise of everyone in LA has gardeners and just multiple leaf blowers going off Saturday at 8 a.m. should be outlawed.
Yeah.
That's all.
Um,
First world problems, people. First world problems.
okay,
We're here
actually,
to solve them.
Actually, selfish question because I'm in the market right now, and you can't answer because you already have one.
Yeah.
Who makes the best e-bike? Who should I look at?
My company's out of business.
Okay, I live in the South Bay of LA. Rad Power. Everybody's got a Rad Power bike, but I'm like,
It's a good choice.
I don't want to be like everybody else. Electric. Avatar.
Can you say as the head of the expo?
No,
Are
I'm branding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's going to depend on the type of bike you want. I mean, just like cars, there's different types of bikes. So, Rad Power is a huge name.
I know. I
Yeah.
want to carry my kid down to the beach. I got to climb a hill to come back up, and occasionally carry a surfboard. But I don't got a lot of room in the garage, so I don't want the stupid. The Rad Wagon is awesome, but it's also like 11 feet long. It's like long as a car. It's not that long. But any other brands I should consider?
Well, I mean, Rad Power is a great one. I would definitely consider that. It just depends on the type of bike you want. Have you seen those really compact bikes?
Yes.
That they can fold and go into an overhead
They
compartment.
got the little tiny wheels that are terrible.
No,
riding.
not this one. No. I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I couldn't get on that either.
'Kay.
But personally, no, there's other compact bikes that are very cool and have normal sized wheels and fold up and go right into.
You got a brand? I should
Well,
look at?
Jackrabbit's one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
have
know
you ever heard of
Jackrabbit.
that?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
very-
no pedals in that one though.
No
Yeah.
pedals. Yeah.
So I thought there's a rule like on the Strand.
there a
Technically,
rule?
you're supposed to have a motorcycle license. Is the big rule.
Well, the big rule on
If it doesn't have pedals.
Yeah, technically, but nobody.
on a lot of the
No,
boardwalk
Mm.
bike lanes in California, you
Right.
have to be pedaling.
Mm.
You ain't got pedals. Get off.
But it's so weird because
you
like
just
if you can
move your
go
feet up and down?
if you can go 5 miles an hour, what's the difference? You know what I mean? If you're going boardwalk speed,
Well,
and not
that's the
making any
thing.
noise,
They're
it's
not-
a weird law.
They're
That's
not.
a-
They're trying to make sure you're not on there ripping because all these kids are ripping down the
Well,
boardwalk. at like
okay,
30
but what if you're
miles
not ripping?
an hour. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. It's a weird rule.
It is
These
a weird
kids
rule.
are
Because
messing
I
up everybody.
I go on the LA River. There's a bike walkway thing,
Okay.
and I have a motorcycle essentially,
So-
but I can go at walking speed on it, and no one cares, and it's fine.
So Electrify Expo for most of these vehicles, e-bikes, scooters, you can demo on site, right?
Yeah, I mean the exhibitors' booths are literally on the demo courses. So you approach their display from the front. You look to see what kind of bike you want to jump on, and then literally behind the booth is the load-in lane for the demo course.
Sign your life away.
You sign, you get geared up, and then you hop on the bike and you can take a hot lap.
Is there a master waiver at the start covering everybody, or each individual exhibitor they have to sign?
There is. We have a master liability waiver that everybody signs when they enter the box office,
Okay.
and then they'll sign the each individual
Oh, they gotta do
exhibitor's
both.
liability waiver.
Double indemnity, smart man.
Actually, Tinkle statute. None of those are worth the paper they're written on. But go ahead. That's fine. Keep signing.
Any you can't obviously. What's the weirdest
Wife's an
thing?
attorney. So.
What's the weirdest thing you can try at an Electrify Expo? You can't do. You don't have a pool. Can you do any of the water stuff?
Some of the events do have water experiences. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
So Miami's had water experiences. We've had electric personal watercraft out there. In San Francisco, we're on water, so there'll be an electric boat manufacturers out there docking their stuff, and you can take demo rides on their boats.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Since it sounds like this is a good way for OEMs, manufacturers to sell stuff, have they approached you like, hey, do a non-Electrify Expo? Because like,
Well, that was my idea.
yeah,
Do a car show.
do a car show where you can just drive everything.
I feel like that must exist somewhere.
It
This
doesn't.
is not
No,
like a novel
no,
idea.
Well, it kind of is. It doesn't, because car shows are static events. I mean, stuff like Pebble Beach and Amelia Island.
I think the Overland Expos are probably pretty close to that.
Overland Expo.
Do they have experiences?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't now. The liability is crazier with those guys because you want to give somebody some rooster tail dirt bike to go ripping down the road. But you can try a lot of the, I think, the stuff on the cars, like that you can climb into the tent.
But I know, like 2-3 years ago, Rivian, they had demo drives and people were buying them. Like,
at the
Overland Expo. So
yeah, okay.
Well, that's the world we're about to step into, right? Is basically DTC for car purchases,
Direct to
which
consumer.
is crazy to think about. But we have
but
Amazon
it's been happening. I mean, like Tesla's been doing it, Volvo, Rivian.
True.
There's lots of
No,
Lucid. There's no.
but you're saying
dealerships.
Amazon is
Well, Amazon's a sponsor now of Electrify Expo, so
Amazon's taking over.
and growing their presence with us next year. And the buzz around Amazon right now is auto manufacturers
Hyundai.
signing on with Amazon to develop a platform where they can literally Electrify Expo can become the point of purchase.
Yeah, it's
So-
great. It's great. Like, I sit in my office and I'm basically a dinosaur, and I'm looking at 2 asteroids streaking across the sky. The first asteroid is Amazon selling cars with 2-day delivery, and then the other asteroid is AI coming for all of the search engine traffic that we get. And I'm just going, wow, look at the pretty colors on those on those asteroids. Actually, they're meteorites, right?
Right.
Anyways.
Meteorite, same thing.
Just ignore it; it'll all go away.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That'll be coming to you for a job. Do you,
That's what I was. I was like,
what are the ticket prices? So
$20.
$20.
$20.
Wow.
Yep. Kids,
All you can eat. All you
kids
can
5
ride?
and under are free. No, if you, the venues take care of the food.
right.
Oh, I
primarily.
meant all you can experience essentially.
Oh yeah. You don't pay more for any experience. You
Okay.
buy a ticket, you get all access to everything.
Okay.
Do you have panels?
Oh, yeah. I'm doing,
Only at industry day. You mean like programming, like panels?
If somebody, again, what's the difference between a plug-in and a full electric vehicle? If I don't know anything, I just showed up, and anything like that.
We do. That's one reason why Amazon wanted to come in. So they've taken over this area called the recharge lounge, and so in that recharge lounge, we have panels going all day, teaching people about
That's what I meant.
EVs and
Cool.
plugins. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
and they're doing industry day. They have local media or other media come by and
Oh.
learn about stuff. I'm actually
Yeah.
hosting one on Friday.
Oh, must be nice.
yes,
Must be
yes,
nice.
yes.
Well, yeah. it'll
I'll
great.
be
with,
driving a McLaren around.
with somebody from AWS. Our buddy Frank.
Talking about
Yeah.
generative AI.
Gen AI and again that beautiful asteroid.
Yeah,
That's kinda-
AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, it's just taking over the car world.
right.
So
Yeah. No, it'll be great. $20, and you sell merch.
We sell merch.
It's good.
You
It's
got-
solid.
You got a tee, you got a
are you
hat.
wearing merch? Is that a merch?
I'm wearing a little merch today.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what blows my mind is because
No.
you have a history with SEMA, is that people buy SEMA merchandise. Like people go
Oh, yeah.
out of their way, and
Oh.
it's like
SEMA's cool. Why not buy SEMA merchandise?
Well, have you seen the
I mean,
merchandise?
Okay.
I bought a SEMA hat one time.
hey, we love SEMA. We're
as-
SEMA members,
Yep.
but the merch is
I bought a SEMA hat one time as a joke that was passed around the entire weekend. He'd run up behind people, slam it on their heads, and run away.
hey now the merch is as good as it can be for a. I mean, it's a trade show. It's a
I mean,
That's a bucket list item for a lot of people to go to SEMA.
Yeah.
No,
to
again,
fake a company
again,
to get a pass
again.
to go to SEMA.
I'm not saying anything about SEMA. I'm talking about the SEMA hat.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Google
I
SEMA
take it you're
hat.
more of a minimalist when it comes to
No,
fashion.
No,
no,
we'll wear
no,
anything.
no. I'll go nuts. But I'm just saying that
You
this.
he's an elitist.
I'm not an elitist. It's just this particular hat was
Okay.
like
It just said
It
SEMA.
was Jason Aldean wouldn't be caught dead wearing this because it's too patriotic. If you know what I'm saying?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? The global domination. Is there? I would have to think international expansion. Do one in Canada or Mexico or overseas.
It's on the radar. We've definitely been approached by other countries, mayor's offices of different cities and
Interesting.
wanting to bring Electrify Expo there. But our focus right now is on the U.S. and Canada and Mexico.
Sounds like Canada,
Okay,
Mexico. All right,
okay.
yeah, Vancouver.
How
be a good place.
how big? 52 weeks a year. How big could you go?
Exactly right. You almost
Okay,
have to start
nice.
spreading it out and having
Nice.
different tours. So
Okay.
you have a U.S. tour and
Well,
expand from
let's turn it to you for a second here. So you were saying that you were an EV skeptic and that you experienced a light bulb moment. Talk us through that. Why were you an EV skeptic?
Let's just we'll probably cover this a little bit in the intro, but BJ's been in the industry for a long time,
Okay.
mostly on the aftermarket high performance side of the house, especially earlier in his career. At one point, he was helping run Mopar's high performance youth marketing division, right?
right.
And doing drifting. That was Sam Hubinette's team.
That was.
okay.
The
Found-
Viper.
Found
I
Sam.
saw Sam the other day.
Yep, found Sam in a rental car and thought he could drive, and then we put him in a competition coupe Viper, and we won the championship a couple of years in a row, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
That was at Formula Drift back in early 2000s.
Sean Carlson, were you helping?
Oh yeah, so it's my Sean Carlson days, who rest in peace. He
Yep.
passed away from Brugada syndrome. He and I started our relationship at McGuire's.
Yep.
So McGuire sponsored his front wheel drive drag car.
Yep.
And then we just continued the relationship from there, and he ended up becoming the team owner for Sam Hubinette.
Right. So,
Yeah.
sorry. You said you discovered Sam in a rental car.
Yeah, that's how we discovered Sam.
What was he doing?
I'm going to butcher this.
Okay.
And
But
real quick, if you don't know Sam, if you watch like the last 10 years of Dodge commercials, he's been the stunt driver. He's amazing, and he's got Huracan that he does a ton of drifting in, and
he's some Fast and Furious stuff. And,
super talented dude.
Incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, if you've never been able to kind of see what these guys can do with a car, it's incredible. Especially if you're a car guy or an enthusiast, to see these guys whip around these cars and put them, between two orange cones, and they're coming 60 miles an hour and just going to drift it and pull a 180 right in that cone and park it right there.
Yeah,
They can
and
do it.
and they do it. Yeah,
It's pretty incredible. But yeah, Sam came to the U.S. And we discovered him at a Formula Drift event where he had rented a Nissan. Was it a Nissan or a Toyota Supra? But anyways, he had rented a car, and that's how he entered Formula Drift for the first time, and he did well.
yeah.
I'm
I'm sure he did.
I think it was a rental car, and I don't know what kind of modifications they made to that rental car, but I saw him and got connected with him and signed him.
Who was your boss at Dodge back then?
The amazing Kevin Miller,
Okay.
who now is president of USAC, United States
Yeah,
Auto
yeah,
Club.
yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And you did that for I'm jumping around.
Yeah, let's.
Well, it goes back to McGuire's, because that's where I got the car bug.
Right.
I'm sure there's car guys who listen to this podcast, and I think that any car guy who looked at electric vehicles like I did,
Right.
where you kind of felt like they lacked a soul. You throw your windshield wiper fluid on when you're on the freeway, make sure you're missing the electric car behind you. That was me.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, for sure. Like I thought. I mean, I hated EVs.
And just because that's the culture.
Well, it's
You never drove one.
One,
you
I
just-
had never
you-
driven one.
and
I
you
was
just hated them.
I
Yeah.
was developing all of my perception around something I didn't know anything about. Who does that?
Huh? Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
And I just felt like they were the kind of the antithesis to what made a car guy, which was
Sure.
you hear the rumble of a V8 or the sing of an inline-4 turbo. It's like that's part of the visceral experience of owning a car,
Mhm.
right? So you delete that, forget about it. You're never getting me behind the wheel of that car. And then I drove an EV.
What'd you drive? What was the first one?
Model S. I think it was it was a 2016. I think Model S.
Okay.
So 2016 would be like a P100D or something like that.
Yeah, it was like that.
35.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like
And
ludicrous mode.
Twenty-
did
or-
20
not
fast.
expect what I was about to jump into. And then I had my light bulb moment. I'm like, oh man, I had this all wrong. I had this all
What,
wrong.
what was it? What was it about it?
It was the instant torque and acceleration.
Right.
Then.
Right.
And that's what got me to start warming up to electric cars.
Did you buy one?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
What are you driving now?
Porsche Taycan Turbo S.
Okay.
Turbo.
Is
Yeah,
that the first?
Turbo, yes.
That's the first EV you bought or no?
Yeah, first EV I bought. Yep.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Why not? Why not a Tesla? If that was such a light bulb moment for you.
Everybody had one. Like I'm a car guy, so I always you always
Yeah,
look
right,
to like
right.
have something that you don't see every day.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
me, it was like, hey, I love the lines of the Taycans. It's gorgeous, right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then I didn't see them a lot where I lived, so I'm like, hey, this is a fit for me.
Right. And it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because a lot of some of the biggest EV haters are like the drag race guys, and I'm like, well, why would you hate a technology that helps you go quicker in a straight line?
Yeah, why would you?
And they just like, well, I don't know, I just hate it. They'll give the reason. They'll say what you said. Doesn't deafen me, and they're all deaf. It's like you can't hear it anyways anymore, dude.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's
yeah.
it. You summed it up. Like
Yeah.
that's who I was.
Yeah.
And I'm not a drag race guy, but that's kind of how I felt about him.
But it's funny now you read because you hear this like doesn't have a soul, which to me is the biggest cop out because it's like, oh, it doesn't have this ineffable thing you can't see. Like, oh, it's like the emperor doesn't have clothes. You know what I mean? Like I remember like when the Nissan GTR came out. Suddenly here's a Japanese car that kicked the snot out of every European car. How do you critique it? No soul. Doesn't have soul. What does that mean? Doesn't have soul.
They said that about the GTR.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was the only way to critique it.
It's a robot.
It's
so fast.
It's soulless.
Right.
Well, I don't know what you mean. You know what I mean? It's just a cop out excuse. So EVs have as much soul as any other mechanical object.
You know what I meant about EV didn't have a soul? It was probably because I couldn't feel it. Like I could feel the acceleration then after I had a drive, but before I got into it, I couldn't hear it and I couldn't feel it. I couldn't hear it. I literally could not hear the car.
Yeah, no,
And
they
then I
don't make
could not
they don't make that
feel
kind of
the car.
noise. Yeah,
I couldn't. So
yeah.
those elements made me feel like, hey, this doesn't jive. This
Right.
doesn't work for me.
No, not picking on you. I'm just saying in general. I hear this a lot, and people, and I'm like, really? Because I enjoy the hell out of. Also, by the way, I love gasoline powered cars. They're also great, good ones. Like bad gasoline cars and bad EVs all suck the same. It's
Yeah, unfortunately, we're just in a place now where we've had to politicize what electric cars, and so it's like, hey, if you're a believer in electric car, then you sit on this side, and if you're not a believer in electric car, then you sit on this side.
it's so weird.
And and then we have administrations or candidates who are looking for votes, and
Right.
they're saying things to go ahead and drive more
Right.
polarization of this industry.
Yeah.
Where
What BJ's dancing around has been Trump the other day said that if he's reelected, you won't be able to buy electric cars.
so what did he what did he say? Because I've
Yeah.
been trying to look
It
that
was
up
it
to
was it
find
was
the,
based. I mean, I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but he basically said, if I'm reelected, you won't be able to buy these type of cars, meaning EVs, which is insanity. And again, to me, it's double insanity. Like most EV makers that are just pure EV makers are American, or Chinese, but they're not allowed in the country. But like Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, those are American companies. Like why
Ford
wouldn't you want to
F-150
support?
Lightning, the Silverado.
well, I'd like to
Yeah,
work.
no,
I'd like
yeah.
to work that out a little bit
Yeah.
because the interesting thing I think about Trump is that he's not a career politician. He's a businessman, right? So he's
I mean,
well. let's just kind of go down
Yeah,
this
yeah,
road
okay.
first and this
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
verbally processing this while you talk
Yeah,
to me
yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So yeah, a businessman would look at all of the investment that has been made in the industry by all these auto manufacturers, right? Who
Sure.
have retooled manufacturing facilities, who have done all the R&D and the engineering to start rolling out all these electric cars.
yeah.
I was reading a quote, I think it was yesterday from, it was at the chair of Ford Motor Company.
Jim Farley, yeah. He's sat in that
No,
chair?
it was one of the
Oh.
Ford family.
Bill Ford.
Bill Ford.
Bill Ford, and he said, "Look, we develop cars that are based on a cycle that's longer than an election cycle."
Right.
So, but he said that this flip flopping back and forth is not good.
Oh no.
For,
Not only that,
and he might have said that a couple months ago and not recently, but I remember reading that and thinking, well, of course. And if you're a businessman coming into this, you would look at the entire industry and see that, hey, there is gain here. There's jobs here. There's opportunities. These manufacturers who are so important to our economy have already retooled to go electric. That type of messaging is not good for the U.S. overall. So
not only that, like a good businessman would look around and say, well, China, Norway next year is banning new internal combustion vehicles completely. Oh, Norway's a small market. Well, China's a couple years behind. China's saying like 2029, 30, they're going to ban the sale of new internal combustion cars. So if you're not building them in America, you're at a massive disadvantage. And if you go back a few years, the American OEM's business plan, you talk to them, they're like, it's China. Lincoln, what's your product strategy? China. And, and by the way, the EU is going to ban the sale of new internal combustion cars.
Yeah,
And then 12 American states go in 2035. So it's like, a good businessman would take that into account, and like, okay, you're gonna have a hard time selling, electric vehicles
look,
in North Dakota, but where
I
the
think
people live,
Yeah.
where your expo's going, you're not gonna have that so hard of a time.
But
So
I think the point that BJ's trying to make here, and the thing that you'd get my hackles up if I was one of these triggered anti-EV folks listening, is like, I don't want the stuff banned. Why you? I don't care. I don't care about China. Don't talk to me about states that are banning, because California, banning stuff, that's ridiculous. Which
banning the sale of new, not banning.
sure, but I think the bigger picture kind of point here, and I've said this a couple times, is look, no matter what side of this debate, quote unquote debate, is your red state, blue state, the politicization of EVs you're on, I think we can agree that Americans should have the best technology, whether it's internal combustion, whether it's plug-in hybrid, whether it's EVs. And right now, you know who has it and is about to eat the world's lunch and before eventually coming to the U.S.? It is China.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a rep from a huge Chinese company yesterday, and we got to talking about autonomous vehicles and where they're at with level 5. And she basically said, and this was not the intention of her comment, just to be clear. She just said it as an aside, which I was like, we are so screwed. She said, what's great is that in China, all the manufacturers believe that autonomous is the future. So they're all working really, really hard right now as it's a race to get to level 5, no steering wheel, full automated driving for as long and as far as you want. That's not happening here. We're busy arguing over whether these things are good or bad or whatever.
Right. No,
this
you're right.
huge company,
Right.
they're state subsidized. They got all this money coming in to make this stuff happen.
Well, who's subsidizing them? Your shopping trip to Walmart.
Right. Bring it back to BJ's point. We're sitting here arguing, and we talked about this with another guest.
We've talked about this a few times.
The biggest problem with whatever happens come November, the election, is if this guy comes in and he undoes all the policies like the CHIPS Act, like the Inflation Reduction Act, if he shifts that thing back, all it does is set American businesses behind other countries, and we're screwed. So we just need to set up some of these. Can we just agree that we should all have the best stuff and work towards? If you don't like it, you can drive something else. You can drive ICE for probably another 30 years in this country.
Sure. Yeah.
You might have to move to a different state. But
we also shouldn't be, we shouldn't be telling people what they must drive. We need to give Americans the choice to decide what is best for them. If electric cars are best for them, great.
You want to ride a horse?
Diesel's best for them, great. If you want to ride a horse,
you can ride a horse.
Well, except for there is, but again, I don't like that, because there is, the fact that climate change caused by excessive CO2 coming out of tailpipes is screwing the world for humanity. The Earth will be here for billions of years after humans are gone. But I want my kid and his kids and your kids and their kids to be able to eat and live by the beach, and so we do need to reduce CO2. That's an inarguable fact. So we can't be burning gasoline at the rate we are now.
They can live by the beach in Colorado.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
Yeah, so that would be my only thing. I know what you're saying, choice. I get that. But
well, I think anytime you tell American consumer what they must do, it's going to raise immediate skepticism.
Yeah, but that's a problem with an American consumer. It's like, I understand. I get it. Oh, you can't tell me. Don't tread on me.
I'll take the middle path.
That's just a cultural thing.
I'll take a middle path and say that I think it'll be, first of all, there's a little bit of a whiff of NRA to this argument, which is that you're not going to, there are such strong feelings on both sides.
Of course.
So you will be able to drive some form of internal combustion, probably hybridized, long into the future, but it won't be everywhere available, and probably at the end of it, it's going to be really expensive for you to do it. It'll be like a luxury good.
Yeah, it'll be like race
again,
horses.
I was making a joke about horses, but there are communities in California where you can ride your horse around your neighborhood.
Sure.
They're gated communities. They're only for the few people that actually can afford
Burbank.
it.
But
It's an election year. It's muddy, it's gray. Dust will settle after the election year is over. Because even on the other side, there have been emission mandates that have been rolled back this year that you've seen.
Yeah,
which is bad, but
right.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's happening. I guess what I'm saying, I'm making a point is that it's happening on both sides, and it's an election year.
Sure.
So,
Yes.
you got to get through November and then see where the dust is really going to settle.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't see these acts being rolled back. Because if you look at it from a businessman approach or a businesswoman approach, you cannot roll those things back after what the manufacturers have done over the last, I don't know, half decade
especially
at
the
least.
part of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, where it's like build your batteries here. So everyone's setting up battery factories,
Exactly.
and factories are, as we know,
all that is good
that's
for
the
America.
investment.
All that is good for America. We want
It is good for
we want the
America, yeah.
supply chain to be here
Absolutely.
for when China invades Taiwan. I will not be able to go to China after saying that on air, but that's kind of the reality to it. What's
Sure.
next on my mind is we got to increase the shipbuilding capability of this country because we
China's building ships right now.
I like where this conversation's going.
Yes.
China's building. By the way,
Not controversial at all.
Well, China, what they're doing is because they still have factories that are manufacturing internal combustion cars, massive amounts of them, and nobody wants to buy them in China because again, culturally they said no more. And so they need to ship them off to like Southern Europe, India, South America. And so China's building like 6 of the biggest ships in the history of the world to transport they're massive, like
No.
dirty,
Yeah, I agree with
dirty
you.
internal combustion cars to Portugal that you can buy for 15,000 euros new. It's just crazy.
I'll give you
it's
a
kind
hot.
of scandalous.
I'll give you a hot tip. If you want to track, because everyone's wondering, like, when are the Chinese EVs going to come to this country?
Yeah,
Or
I'm wondering that myself.
where?
Well, not
The hot tip for all the analysts, these are the same guys who hire like drones to fly over factories and they count the employee cars in the parking lot.
yeah.
The one is to look at which Chinese car companies are buying and or building cargo ships and where they are and where they're starting to go. Because the ones who are amassing cargo ships means they're going to start exporting. And tell you what, BYD's bought a lot of cargo ships. So that's sort of the hot ticket.
Yeah, and BYD's doing a pickup truck. What
Dude,
country likes pickup trucks?
BYD just dropped a 1,000-mile range hybrid, plug-in
Yeah,
hybrid.
no, I know. I'm saying, but what country really likes big pickup trucks?
Oh, I know.
There's only one.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
let's bring it back to BJ. So,
yes,
'cause
yes.
No, this is what it's all about, Ed. I mean, I think talking about these sorts of issues are probably the most important things to discuss, because there needs to be the air and the water is so muddy right now that we do need to talk about these issues and try to bring some clarity to it, because there's so much gray out there.
we call it FUD: fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And
That's our crypto word.
which leads me to this a question I want to ask you, because again, we only touched a little bit on your background. You did youth marketing at Fiat Chrysler FCA at the time. You worked at Dub Magazine. You were a marketing professor. You were president owner of the Torque, the off-road championship series, which you then sold. You've been part of the youth engagement task force for SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Market Association. You have your own agency, and now you're doing this. You are a man of many talents.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You've been across the aftermarket. You've been promoting a dirt racing series. You were involved with drifting and import drag racing. You're a sharp businessman. You live in Texas. You're an EV convert. You must have had some interesting conversations with other folks, probably still to this day, who are like, EV,
Your old SEMA
not
buddies.
EV, not for me. Like,
Totally.
what do you do? Electrify Expo, BJ? Really? What are you doing?
For sure.
What are you doing?
Especially in Texas.
So what?
Even in Austin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What are those conversations?
Yeah, walk us through it.
What are they like? What are they like today? And are you optimistic? Are people gonna change their mind? Are you just like, meh?
Is
live
it
and let live?
inevitable?
Is it inevitable?
It gets to ring his bell.
Yeah, I mean, I live 45 minutes west of Austin, a little bit more out in the country. But most of the dudes I hang out with, they're driving diesel trucks or they're gas guys, and they are who I was in 2016.
You have a diesel truck too?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying, like, they are.
That's a great point. Where I was. I want to make a point after you get.
Okay, so they are where I was, and they've even been to my shows, so and they're great. They're very supportive people, but they've dug their feet in, and what will convert them? Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. I think that the future of the EV industry is not necessarily tied up into my generation, Gen X, than it is Gen Y and Gen Z and the ones that follow.
That's a very good point. But also, I'm getting old, as all this next statement means. But like, I remember very well, and I was trying to find the exact issue, but I was, before I worked for MotorTrend, when I subscribed to Car and Driver, there was an issue that came out. And it was like, going through the editorials up front. It was like, Chuba, it's like, EVs just suck and they're dorky. And then like, Brock Yates, it's like EVs are, commie plot to ruin America. Patrick Bedard, some absolutely insane mathematical proof that a Prius is worse than an atomic bomb for the environment, And today, I don't know what the equivalent of that is, but like everyone's like, I want a hybrid. Like I don't want a full EV. I want like a hybrids. The new 911 was just announced, and what people they're not really upset about the hybridization because it's a tiny battery. I want the start button. Well, or I want the key back. They put a start button on it, and so it's like the goalposts do shift over time. So while these gentlemen seem dug in today, I bet in 20 years, be like, no, I want the lithium-ion batteries. I don't want these stupid, silica.
I don't want the made in China LFP
silica
batteries.
Cathode, man. You don't get no power density out of that. I want cobalt.
There's a lot of truth to that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if we were exporting, I mean, the country may have the ability to be one of the biggest exporters of battery tech. Especially as we shift from the minerals that are being used to create these batteries,
or even look for them. I mean, that's another big point. Like we just started really looking for lithium in the U.S. and there's a deposit they just found in California that's like,
and there's a huge one in Reno,
enough for like 300 million vehicles, and the recycling is getting underway. Unlike gasoline, lithium is 100% recyclable. Every part of all these rare earth metals, you dig them out once and they're out. Unlike oil, we got to dig up for eternity, So, and it can all be that's just getting going, the recycling. But like, so we're just we're in this
early stages.
Bottom of the first, top of the second.
People forget how early we are in this transition. I use this example.
Yes.
When we went from horse-drawn carriages to gas cars.
I don't. I wasn't there.
Well, I know, but you've read it.
I'm a month older than you.
Car guy.
All right, gray hair.
Okay, if you read about this, there were no gas stations.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
So the way that they got gas delivered to them was from milk trucks.
Right, or the drugstore. Yeah.
So we find ourselves just probably past that milk truck stage. It's one of the biggest barriers to actually driving kind of a higher trajectory of EV adoption than we do today is the rollout of EV charging infrastructure. Mm-hmm. That's holding us back.
Totally.
Do you have charge or like Electrify America, EV Go, or ChargePoint? Are they at your shows? Do they do little setups or no?
Electrify America and EV Go are not, but they're
naturally.
He's got a
brilliant, brilliant strategy.
What's your take on that?
He's got an axe to grind.
How could they not be there? How could they not be there? They should be showing. Look, here's an EV. Here's how quick it is. You plug it in, and of course, it doesn't work that way. But ideally, it's this easy.
But so
that's a big thing about coming to our expos. Just people understanding this idea of plugging something in. So in the Amazon Recharge Lounge, you literally have 2 vehicles with chargers next to it, and people all day are just doing this. They're just plugging it in, going, "Oh, it's that simple."
Man, Amazon should open up a charging network.
Actually, controversial related question. So you have.
I'm so mad.
You have charging. How do you charge all these vehicles that you have on site?
The manufacturers are responsible for charging their own vehicles.
Okay. Do they bring giant diesel charging stations, or they go off site?
Nothing on site. They're going off site.
Yeah, they're in a parking lot.
No, we do testing. Big testing programs like Car of the Year, SUV of the Year, and the last few years have been really embracing the challenge of, it's not like anything that you guys, we'll get 40 or 45 SUVs together, and these days, increasingly greater than half require some kind of charging, and we test out in the desert. So we've last year Tesla dropped off a supercharger, a semi-drawn giant battery basically to charge the vehicles. We had GM sent a hydrogen powered electric vehicle charging
That
station,
one
which
was cool.
which was
Could charge
awesome.
like 6 at a time. It was pretty
Yeah, it's
nifty.
pretty rad.
That is pretty cool. I have the most idiotic story to tell you.
Yeah.
But first, 100%. So we have 1,000,000 square feet. So if you think about all those exhibitors who need power to their booths, right? That's a lot. We're delivering a lot of power to
Yep.
people. 100% of that, all that 110 power, is all renewable battery packs from Anchor. So
Oh, no kidding.
Anchor Solix has these battery stations.
Anchor,
right?
ANKER. That
Yeah,
Anchor?
the same Anchor that does
Does
like
the
little
accessories?
chargers for your
Little
laptop.
recharging
and
stuff?
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they now have Anchor Solix, which is, I guess I don't want to call it the commercial division because I'm butchering it. It's for consumers, but it's it can basically power homes.
Yeah.
So they have big units like that, and then they have smaller units where we have them all over the festival. They power everything. They power our inflatable arches. They power our towers. They power booths, and so people are just plugging into the
So
battery packs.
They truck in the big
Well, we
battery
truck
packs?
it. We truck it all in. So we have a
Dope.
relationship with them. Then we truck it all in from.
That's
And
show
they
to
wild.
got they got their brand.
is. It's
They got
pretty-
their branding on
it's
it.
pretty cool.
and
Oh
they
yeah.
look- Oh, that's great.
And it shocks people because
Genius.
and the
I
idiotic.
hopefully it doesn't actually shock. Zing. Okay, sorry.
It surprises people. It surprises people. It does. Well,
Through a painful jolt of electricity. They're very surprised. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'm such an idiot. But in 2021, our very first show in Orange County, we had these really cool, we're trying to create this vibe and this atmosphere. We had these balloons, basically these big balloons that are, you pump air through them and they're blown up and they light up and they look really cool. And they're, 10 feet wide. They're cool. But we needed a way to power them. So, stupid gas-powered generator sitting right next to the truss stick that has the balloon.
yeah.
And then social media just lighting up.
Of
Oh,
course,
yeah, you're
yeah.
at an EV festival, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
good
right.
story.
We got to walk the walk, don't
Yeah.
we? So that's
Okay.
when we started to look for a partner like Anchor, and we have a great relationship with them.
Super smart.
Yeah, but look, it's like you said, it's an infrastructure issue. So
Right. So
Well, and honestly, when you produce events like this, the solution for a natural gas generator replacement, an affordable replacement, the industry is just not there yet for festivals like ours. It's getting there. Like there are solutions out there where they bring in these big battery packs on trailers. And,
hey, call Chevy. Ask for the new Silverado.
Silverado,
Thinking
200 kilowatt hour,
212 kilowatt hour battery.
battery.
You can power your festival all day.
and you can rent it from Hertz. So you get them charged, and you can just bring it, just rotate them in.
Yeah.
I should have asked this at the top as the first question. Instead, it'll be our last question. So, what is the mission for Electrify Expo, your latest venture? What is the? Because in talking to you, you don't come off as you're sort of very even about what you said. I don't think my generation is going to convert. It's going to be Gen Y, Gen Z. I don't get the strong sense that you're on this mission to convert as many people to EVs as possible. So let me just stop there. What's the point? What's the mission statement for Electrify Expo?
Yeah, I mean, what we want to do is provide experiences all over this country for people come in and check out this whole electric thing and then make their own determination on if it's best for them. That's where it stands. I mean, certainly we want to educate and entertain people through Electrify Expo about what electric cars can do and what electric vehicles can do, because I think after they have an experience in them, it's like I think they'll have their light bulb moment, and that's evident at our show. I mean, we set so many records for demos at our show where people are just loving what they're doing and doing more of it, that that's a kind of a clear signal to me that, hey, this is working. We have manufacturers telling us that these demos are converting to sales. I see people who come in as skeptics and leave as converts. Like it's happening organically and naturally. So instead of us, trying to message this or create a narrative around it, my whole goal here is just to provide an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a genius plan. Seems to be at the right time.
And seems to be working.
Working real well. So congrats. By the time you hear this, again, the next stop will be Denver, Colorado, followed by San Francisco
Yeah, I
in
think they're
late
going to hear
August.
They're going to hear it around San Francisco.
No, they're gonna. I already checked. They're gonna hear this
okay.
around Denver.
Oh, nice. Okay,
and then Seattle in September, New York in October, and Austin. The final show for 2024
In November.
In November.
cool. Yeah.
In Austin, right?
And
we're on the Formula One track. So literally people are
Nice.
getting into an EV
Oh, sick.
on the F1 track.
Excellent.
It
It's
is
awesome.
that
It is
Austin
great.
is your biggest. Is it your biggest?
No, I'd say Long Beach.
Long Beach,
and
okay.
Long Beach, San Francisco, Seattle, they're our biggest events.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And last chance to plug. Where should they go for more information?
Ah.
come to electrifyexpo.com. Obviously, you can catch us on all the social handles. We want you to come experience this whole electric thing. It doesn't matter if you're an EV advocate or a skeptic, or you just want to come check it out. This is the best place to do it. Everyone's here, so come on over and let's. It's an e-mobility party, so everyone's invited type thing.
Oh man, I have one more question.
Okay.
Go.
Have you had anybody who's like super EV hater come and try to protest or throw tomatoes or anything like that? Is there anybody
You mean like what happened at the New York Auto Show?
Oh, really?
They threw tomatoes during the Ford press conference. Yeah,
Right.
or they threw something. Did you guys see that?
No.
I missed
it's probably
it.
worth a look up.
I missed it.
No, we have not.
Okay.
We have not had that happen.
Knock
yet.
on wood.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great to hear. BJ
Or
Birtwell.
maybe you want it. Maybe it gets some press.
BJ Birtwell, thank you so
thank
much.
you so much.
for
That was
coming
fun.
in.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
The Inevitable Vodcast, brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya. Inspired by the future, designed for the now.